everyone, it's Jill from the Cozy Company, and today I'm going to show you how to make a chunky knit candy corn. This pattern is actually a modification of my chunky knit watermelon pillow pattern, so if you're interested in learning even more fun designs and techniques, feel free to check out that tutorial over at my YouTube channel as well. If you enjoy chunky knit tutorials, free patterns, and finger knitting tips and tricks, make sure to follow me on social media and check out all the links in the description below for more content. Alright, let's get started. So for the chunky knit candy corn, you're going to need 3 colors in size 7 jumbo chenille yarn. You're also going to need scissors and polyfill. But we're going to go ahead and start with our yellow. And to get started, we're going to find the tail of our yarn. And we want to create a slip knot. So to create a slip knot, we want to make a loop similar to the breast care awareness symbol. We want to leave a short tail for this, so just a few inches. So I'm going to make a loop similar to the breast care awareness symbol, and I want the tail on top. So I'm just folding it over like that. From there, I'm going to take the working yarn. The working yarn is the yarn that's attached to your ball of yarn, and I'm going to put it up and through that loop like this. I'm going to grab it with one hand and pull down at the tail at the same time to tighten. Now I want my loop sizes pretty small so no polyfill comes out. So I'm going to make this initial chain, the first row of loops, about 2 to 3 fingers wide. Once we have our loop similar to the breast care awareness symbol that we made into a slip knot, we want to create our foundation chain. So I'm going to go ahead and take my thumb and my pointer finger, and I'm going to put it through that loop. I'm going to go from the top of the table down towards the table itself, and I'm going to put my thumb and my pointer through. I'm going to grab and pinch that working yarn with those 2 fingers, and I'm going to pull up a new loop through that hole the same size. And again, I want to make it about 2 to 3 fingers wide. Once we have our new loop, we're going to do the same exact thing through this loop. So again, I'm going to take my thumb and my pointer. I'm going to put it through that loop. I'm going to grab and pinch that working yarn to pull up a new loop the same size. So we together have just done a total of 3. We've chained on 3 loops. We want to do a chain of 11 total. So I'm going to do this 8 more times till I get to 11. So that was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I should have a chain of 11 for my first row. For row 2, I'm going to go ahead and knit these bumps or ridges in my foundation chain. So as you can see here, you should have a loop that's sticking up, and I want to find the bump or the ridge right next to it. So not this one right here, because that's attached to that loop. You can see it here, that's behind it. I want to go to the one right next to it. And again, what we're going to do is I'm going to take my thumb and my pointer. It doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. I'm going to take my thumb and my pointer, and I'm going to put it through that bump. So going from the top down towards the table. And again, I'm going to grab and pinch that working yarn to pull up a loop. Now these loops I want smaller. I want about 1 to 2 fingers wide. Once I have those 2 loops sticking up, I'm going to leave them alone, and I'm going to go to my very next bump or ridge in the foundation chain. So right here. And I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to take my thumb and my pointer. I'm going to put it through that bump. I'm going to grab and pinch the working yarn to pull up a new loop the same size. So now I have a total of 3 loops. I'm going to continue that process going all the way down the foundation chain until I get back to this tail. So at the end, I should have a total of 10 loops sticking up. So I'm going to go through each and every one of these bumps and pull up a new loop the same size, about 1 to 2 fingers wide. So I've just got back to my tail. I should have a total of 10 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to rotate my work. So these, as you can see, these loops right now are facing away from me. I'm going to turn my work, rotate my work, So now the loops are facing towards me, because what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull up loops on these bottom bumps now. So this is where my working yarn is, and this is where that tail is where we first started. I'm gonna put the working yarn over that tail, and I'm gonna pull loop up on this bottom bump. So right underneath this loop that we just pulled up, I'm gonna find the bottom bump of that foundation chain, and I'm gonna pull up a loop so that they are mirroring each other. I'm gonna continue that all throughout the rest of this bottom of this foundation chain. So at the end, I should have 10 loops on the top here, and then 10 more loops on the bottom for a total of 20 loops. And I wanna try to make them as consistently the same size as possible. So I've just completed row 2 by pulling up 10 loops on the top and 10 loops on the bottom, so I should have a total of 20 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate my work again. So that way my working yarn is now on the left side, because this is the last loop that I just pulled up, and I'm gonna start by knitting this loop right here. So for row 3, I'm going to knit all 20 of these loops. So, and I wanna make sure that I keep my loop sizes pretty small so that way no polyfill comes out. So for row 3, we're just knitting all 20 loops. So if you're not familiar, how we're gonna do that is we're gonna take our thumb and our pointer, we're gonna put it through our loop right here, and we're just gonna grab and pinch that working yarn to pull up a loop the same size. And then I'm gonna go to my very next loop and do the same thing. Take my thumb and my pointer, put it through, grab and pinch that working yarn to pull up another loop. So I've just knit the first 2 loops. I'm gonna go ahead and continue so I can knit all 20 loops. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I've knit the first 10. So I'm gonna go ahead and rotate my work again, because the loops that I'm going to be knitting, I want pointing away from me. The loops that I just finished knitting are pointing towards me. So at some point, we're gonna be folding this in half. So I'm just going to do that now, so that way that there's no gaps between these loops. Because as you can see here, if I went to just knit this loop here, it's kind of creating like a gap right here, and I don't want that. So at this point, before I knit these 10 loops, I'm just gonna try and fold my work in half. So I'm flipping it over and then folding it in half, just so I can take this working yarn and I can knit this next loop as close as possible. See how there's no gap between the two now? Once I've done that, I'm gonna unfold it, and I'm just gonna knit the next 9 like normal. That was row 3. For row 4, we're going to knit all 20 loops again, but this time I'm going to keep it folded. So I'm gonna rotate my work again, because I want the loops that I just knit facing towards me, and the loops that I'm about to knit facing away from me. But this time I'm gonna try and keep it folded. So as we get going, it's going to stay folded easier. So if you're having trouble with it at first, don't worry, it does stay folded by itself as we continue to work up the candy corn. But basically, this is my outside of my candy corn. I'm gonna flip it so that way I'm seeing the inside of the pillow, the inside of the candy corn. so that way I can fold it in half like this. And I'm going to knit the 10 loops like normal. Again, this is tricky at first, so the only reason we're doing this now is when we're knitting the 10th loop to the 11th loop, like this, we don't want a gap between these two. These are the two corner loops. So that's why I'm trying to fold it in half right now. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is our original tail where we first started, so we just want to make sure that that stays in the middle. 8, 9, and 10. So those are the first 10 loops of row 4. Again, I'm going to rotate my work and trying to keep it folded, I'm going to knit the next 10. So that's loop 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So as you can kind of see, I'm forcing it a little bit, but it will start to stay folded on itself as we continue the candy corn. So for row 5, we're gonna start with a decrease. So this is the last loop I just pulled up. As you can see, my working yarn's coming from it. So I'm going to flip my work around, because now that it's folded, so that the loops that I'm about to knit are towards me and the loops that I just finished knitting are in the back. So to start row 5, we're going to start with decreasing our first 2 loops. So this is loop 1 and this is loop 2. I'm going to take the first loop, my left loop, and I'm going to put it on top of my right loop. So I'm putting my finger through the left loop first, and then I'm putting my finger through the right loop. So my fingers are in between both. And I'm going to grab this working yarn and pull up a loop through both of them, so those 2 loops now become 1. And then I'm going to just knit the next 9 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm then just going to knit the next 8 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3. Again, just making sure that tail stays in the middle. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I've reached the edge. So again, I'm going to turn my work, rotate my work, so that way the loops that I just knit are going to be facing the back, and the loops that I'm about to knit are facing the front towards me. And we're just going to repeat for these loops. So again, my next 2 loops on my left loop and my right loop, I'm going to decrease left loop over right loop and pull up a loop through both. So those 2 loops become 1. And then I'm going to knit the next 8 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So at the end of row 5, we should have our 20 loops go down to 18 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. For row 6, I'm just going to knit all 18 of these loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Before we move on to row 7, we're going to go ahead and do a color change. So I'm going to grab my orange yarn and I'm going to go ahead and tie it to the tail, to the working yarn of the yellow yarn. So I'm just taking my orange and at the very base of the last loop that I just pulled up, I'm just going to tie my orange yarn to it in a double knot. And then I'm just going to cut my yellow yarn off because we are all done with that now. Once your orange yarn is securely attached, we are going to move on to row 7. So for row 7, we are going to knit the first 7 and then decrease. So just like normal, we're going to knit the first 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're going to decrease. We're going to decrease this time. We're going to do right over left. So as you can see here, I have 2 loops left in the row. I have my left loop and my right loop. I'm going to take my right loop this time, put my finger through it, and then put my finger through the left loop. So the right loop is over the left loop, and then I'm going to take my working yarn and I'm going to pull up a loop through both. So I've just knit my first loops, so I'm going to flip my working so I can access the back loops, and I'm going to repeat that same thing. I'm going to knit the first 7 like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then again, I'm going to decrease. I'm going to decrease my right loop over my left loop and pull up a loop through both. So at the end of row 7, we should be down to 16 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. For row 8, we're just going to knit all 16 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. For row 9, we are going to knit 6, decrease, knit 6, and decrease. So we're going to take these 16 loops and we're going to bring them down to 14 loops. So we're going to start by knitting the first 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just like we did in the previous decrease, we're going to decrease again. We're going to decrease right loop over left loop and pull up a loop through both. And then I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to knit the first 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'm going to decrease. Right loop goes over left loop and pull up a loop through both. So at the end of row 9, we should have a total of 14 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. For row 10, we are just going to knit all 14 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. For row 11, we're gonna knit 5 and then decrease, knit 5 and then decrease. So knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna decrease again, same thing, we're gonna decrease right loop over left loop like this and pull up a loop through both. And then we're gonna repeat on the back side. So knit 5 just like normal, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're gonna decrease right loop over left loop. So at the end of row 11, we should have a total of 12 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For rows 12 and 13, we're just gonna knit these 12 loops like normal. So that is a total of 24 loops because we're knitting 12 for 2 rows. So I'm just gonna knit 24 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. For row 14, we are going to do a color change. So I'm going to grab my white colored yarn and I'm going to tie it on the base of the last loop that I just pulled up where my working yarn is. So I'm just going to tie it in a double knot. And then once that's nice and secure, I'm going to cut my orange yarn because we no longer need it. And then we're ready to move on to the next row, which is row 14. And we're going to do the same thing we pretty much have been doing. We're going to knit 4, and then decrease, knit 4, and then decrease. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to decrease. Again, we're going to decrease right loop over left loop and pull up a loop through both. And then moving on to the back loops, we're going to do the same thing, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And with our very last 2 loops, we're going to decrease right loop over left loop. So at the end of row 14, we should have a total of 10 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For row 15, we're just going to knit all 10 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. For row 16, we're going to start with a decrease this time. We're going to decrease our right loop over our left loop and pull up a loop through both. So we're starting with a decrease. And then we're going to knit the next 3 like normal. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to repeat that same step again. With our next 2 loops, we're going to decrease right loop, goes over left loop, and pull up a loop through both, and then knit the next 3 loops. 1, 2, and 3. So at the end of that row, we should have a total of 8 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For row 17, we're just going to knit those 8 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now before we go any further, I'm going to partially fill my candy corn with polyfill because I don't want this opening to get too small. So I'm going to grab my polyfill and I'm going to stuff it mostly to the top, and then as I do the ending with you guys, we will fill a little bit more as we close it off. So I'm just taking my polyfill and I'm gonna stuff the candy corn pillow so it's nice and even. So as you can see, I stuffed it mostly to the top, but I didn't do all the way so that way it was overflowing because we still have a few more rows to do, and we can stuff that little bit as we continue. For row 18, we are going to knit 3, decrease, and then knit 3. So I'm going to knit the first 3 like normal, 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to decrease my next 2 loops. I'm decreasing my right loop over my left loop, pulling up a loop through both, and then knitting the next 3 like normal. 1, 2, and 3. So at the end of that row, you should have a total of 7 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For row 19, we're knitting all 7 loops like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. For the very last row, we're going to decrease one more time. We're going to knit 3, decrease, and then knit 2. So we're going to take these 7 loops and we're going to bring them down to 6 loops. So we're going to knit 3. So 1, 2, 3. Decrease again, decrease right loop over left loop, and then knit the last 2. 1, 2. So at the end of that row, you should have a total of 6 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm then going to go ahead and take my scissors and cut a tail about 8 inches long. And I'm going to add the little bit more polyfill to what we just did for the last few rows. And then we're ready to close up our pillow. So to do that, we're going to take that short tail that we cut and we're going to put it through each and every one of these loops. We're going to go from the inside of the pillow towards the outside. So the loop right next to where the working yarn's coming out of is where I'm going to start from. I'm going to take this tail, I'm going to put it through this loop going from the inside of the pillow towards the outside like that and gently pull. Once I do that, I'm going to go to the very next loop right here and I'm going to do the same thing. Take my tail, put it through the inside of this loop towards the outside and pull gently. And I'm going to do it through all 6 of these loops. Once I've gotten through all 6 loops, I'm going to gently but firmly pull until that hole closes up. I'm then going to tie my tail in a knot at the very base of that tail, and I'm going to stick that knot and that tail into that small hole that we closed up. And that is how we make a chunky knit candy corn. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, anything like that, feel free to email me. But make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on social media so you have access to more free chunky knit patterns. Thanks so much for following along.